the Overcoming Medical Hair Loss Summit. My name is Valerie Fuentes. I'm your host, and today I am with Jo Tucker. She's also known as Bald Mother Tucker.
Hi.
Hi. So she was with us last June at the Unapologetic Badasses series. And it was so lovely to have you, to learn about you, your daughters, how you embrace us, as a mom. I really, really enjoyed our conversation. So I really wanted to have you back. So thank you for being here today.
Thanks for having me back again.
So Jo, tell us, for those of you who don't know you, a little bit about your hair loss story.
Okay, so it was 2.5 years ago, and it was at Christmas time, and in the December I noticed a patch about this sort of size on the side of my head, and I had my third daughter. She was 11 months-ish, and I'd just gone back to work, so I was pretty exhausted, and she had just stopped sleeping through the night, so it was just a kind of combination of lots of different things. And I thought I was run down, so I found the patch, thought I was run down. So I went for blood tests at the doctor's, and because it was coming up to Christmas, it was quite busy, and so to try and get an appointment took a while. And I had my blood tests just before Christmas, and then literally in the time over Christmas for me to go back and get my results, I went back bald. Basically, in 2 weeks, my hair had completely fallen out. It came away in absolutely huge chunks, clumps in the shower. Every time I dreaded washing my hair because I would wash and the hairbrush would be full every single time. It was so fast that I thought perhaps I was dying or something horrendous was happening. But obviously, going back to the doctors, I was diagnosed with alopecia. And I went from wearing a bobble hat to the doctors for, the blood test results. I decided to jump straight into wig wearing. So I got myself a wig, and then that was literally the Friday, I think, and then I was back to work on the Monday with brand new hair. So it was quite traumatic and fast, and certainly I didn't feel ready enough to be bald at that stage. So it was learning curve.
Right. And so one thing that really stuck with me from the first time I talked to you, right, because your process was so fast, and you also jumped into hair wearing so fast, right? And I remember asking you, like, how do you do that? Because for a lot of people, it takes time, and they don't want to do it, and they feel afraid of doing it. And, you have all these things of, like, are people going to notice and are not going to notice? And you said, well, what are you going to do? Like, somebody has to get the kids ready. Somebody has to take them to school. Like, you just got to move on. So, yes, you do have to move on, but, like, did you really move on, or like what, like emotionally, how were you feeling throughout this process?
I think the wig for me was kind of almost the plaster, just to kind of make it better for the time being, because I didn't feel, I was utterly devastated. But yeah, like you said, I still had the school run, I still had an office to go to. I didn't feel that I could call in sick, because, do you know what I mean? I didn't feel like I couldn't be present, because everybody thought the hair loss is treated as quite a superficial thing, and so I didn't feel that by saying my hair's fallen out, I can't come in today. I just didn't feel like I could do that. And so the wig, to its benefit, the wig was, when I bought my first piece, it was the hair I always wanted. So it was kind of like a beach wave bob. It wasn't mega glamorous or anything, but it was just, I was always trying to grow my hair. And I bought this piece, and when I put it on, it gave me so much confidence, because it was hair that I'd always wanted. That really helped as well. So then that kind of, I was just in that shove it on, go and do your thing. And then in the evenings when you took it back off, that was when I really felt the angst about, oh my God, what's happened? And I'd be inspecting my head for stubble, or is anything coming back, what's happening. And on my phone, actually, I need to delete loads of photos. I've got thousands on there, but from the early stages of when my hair loss was falling, you just come across tons of pictures of my head where I would take loads of shots from all angles, because I'd be like, I'm sure it looks different, I'm sure something's happening, and it didn't. And then in the probably 2 months to follow after the hair loss from my head, then I lost all my body hair and facial hair as well. So I progressed to Universalis, and I've not had substantial regrowth since. I've got like a hairy patch on my leg that I discovered on the weekend on the beach, and hairy face, which is really weird, and a couple of bits of hair on my shoulders, which is also really weird, but otherwise nothing substantial. Yeah, it's all gone.
And did you have you seek treatment, or do you just don't care anymore?
In the early days, yes, because I also had the mindset of, as it fell so quickly, if I were to kind of nip it in the bud now, then I can deal with this, and it started with the hair on my head that had gone, but I thought, if I can act and be treated and be seen, it would work, because it's only just gone. And I'm nipping it in the bud in the early days, so therefore it would just then regrow, and I can cope with that. It's temporary. The wig is temporary, and it was all very. I didn't see it as a permanent fixture at all. And so yes, I did. I pursued seeing the doctor. And they referred me to a dermatologist, because the kind of doctor washes their hands of the issue, really, and they put you over to the skin people. And I was given a cream, like a lotion to start with. And I mean, I looked like a crazy old man. I had like kind of just wiry hairline, and that was everything. And they gave this lotion that was like, oh, it's a steroid lotion, and you put it on. And I was thinking, really, I can't see this happening. And it didn't work at all. And then I progressed to steroid tablets. And I had a 6-week course. And 3 weeks into the course, they gave me incredibly bad acne. And so not only was I bald, I then had horrendous skin, which is something that, I mean, I've been very fortunate not to have experienced kind of acne during my teens or young adulthood. And for me, on a vanity scale, I was kind of like, now I'm covered in these red, and they were really painful as well. So to cover them, I struggled, and I just felt horrendous. And so I said to the dermatologist, it's just not really working for me. I can't see this is going to bring my hair back. And so I stopped. And after the steroids, they offered me an option to go for immunosuppressants, but they were they were putting me off going as it was. And they were sort of saying, oh, you need to get tested every week, and it's a really big deal if you go down this route. And I actually didn't feel that I wanted to do that. I didn't think it was the right thing for me at all. So I just kind of fell off the referral list, if you like, at that point. And I haven't been seen by a professional for that, that type of thing since. So they just kind of leave you to it.
Wow. So through all this process, right, you had your children with you. What did they say?
Yes. So in the early days, I would try to keep my crying to myself or crying at my husband. I would really try and shield the children from it, because I didn't want them to see me devastated over hair. And again, I'm doing it to myself by saying it was just hair, which it isn't. But I didn't want them to see that I was so devastated over something that is how you look. It is the kind of, I didn't want to be deemed as vain, and that it would rub off on them. So they you know, they were obviously, oh, what's happening, Mum? Why has this happened? You haven't got any eyelashes anymore. And we would just repeatedly say to them, you know, I'm not unwell, you know, Mummy's fine. And she gets to wear loads of really cool hair now because she's, you know, buying her hair. And they just took it in their stride. They really, really have absolutely taken it in their stride. They love my wigs now. I mean, they're really, I'll get a new one and they'll be like, Mum, when you're finished with that one, can we keep that one for dress up? Because we really, and I'm like, do you know how much my wigs are? And they love it, and they are so understanding and supportive, to the point where if I were to say something negative about myself in front of the children, I mean, they leap to my defense. They really do. And it is I've got a daughter at the age of kind of the verge of puberty, and so, you know, hair is growing in places, and it's very hard to kind of explain to her, you know, it's perfectly normal, you know, you can shave, you can not shave, it doesn't matter, it's your choice, when I'm obviously as bald as a baby type of thing. And so it's very hard to, you know, have that conversation and lead by example, because I can't do that. But we're getting there, you know. And I would say in those sorts of conversations, no, mum's the anomaly, I'm the strange one. I said, it doesn't normally happen to everyone. And they leap to my defense, no, Mum, you're not strange, you're not strange. And I'm like, oh, it's lovely, but I was just trying to use myself as an example. So but yeah, they and if we were to see another woman with we've been on holiday before, and you've seen somebody that didn't have hair, she wore lots of hats, and it could have been for a multitude of reasons. We didn't get into conversation, but they immediately kind of say, Mum, she's just like you, and she's wearing hats like you. And, you know, it's not strange for them to see, which is just wonderful, I suppose. It's certainly teaching them that we all come in different shapes and sizes and packaging and stuff. So, yeah.
It's so important, and that's why I wanted to ask you, because we think, you know, it's our role to educate our children and, you know, finally change the society and the standards and all that stuff. And it starts at home. It starts at home with families.
Yes, yeah. Well, and my eldest daughter, she had a friend around once, and I was folding laundry or something, and I walked past her room, and I mean, it wasn't even prompted. I kind of overheard them saying, oh, it's so cool, your mum gets to change her hair. And I just felt really like, oh, that's just, you know, that's a really sweet thing for them to, her, and the acceptance is obviously rubbing off on her friends, because it's just so normal in our house. And so, yeah, it can't be a bad thing, really. Certainly a positive from it.
So let's talk about social media.
Okay.
Like, why did you start your account, and what, you know, tell us a little bit about your experience.
Okay. So I started my account on the day that I got my wig, my first wig.
Really?
And I remember doing it because I think my husband was like snoring next to me, and I was sat in bed, and I had a private account anyway, and I was trying to think of a catchy name for something to do with my hair loss, and I came up with my name, Bald Mother Tucker, and I wanted to put pictures and stuff on there purely for my just to document my own journey, just because I kind of, you know, it was a strange thing to have happen, and I had suddenly become the friend that people say, alopecia, oh, my friend has alopecia. Somebody's always got a friend who has it. And I was very aware that I'd become the friend that people would mention. And and I just thought it could be interesting. And I didn't expect, I expected my friends to follow me because they kind of had to, right? But I wasn't expecting it to evolve as it has. But it really has been, you know, a real lifesaver in some really dark times, because, you know, meeting and communicating with just others that experience the same thing as you, you almost have a bond that you can't really describe. friends and family are obviously wonderfully supportive, but just having somebody else who goes, oh God, yes, yeah, when your nose runs, and oh yeah, you know, when your wig itches or whatever it is, and they just get it, and it's on that level, it's just been wonderful. And 99% of the time, it's a really positive experience. Most of the time, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and like anything, it has, you know, good times and the bad times. And I think recently there's so much going on that there's, you know, there's more and more of us now. I mean, you've experienced the growth, right? Like the hairless community is exploding, literally. So I know recently you had to take a break, right? Like what happened? Do you mind sharing with us?
I just realised how accessible I became to people, and I treat most things with humour, and humour has helped me with my hair loss a lot, because I'm the first one to have a laugh at myself, and you know,
and
find
you are pretty funny, by the way. That's why I love your account. I'm always laughing.
I am, and yeah, and like and you know, calling myself Mr. Potato Head and stuff like that, I can laugh at that. But I just think you know, most of the time it's wonderfully welcoming and stuff, but just there's been a bit of nastiness around recently, and I was just on the back end of just a few people just it felt like they were almost lashing out, really, and I felt really exposed, and just really kind of, I felt a bit, for me, because it's a hobby, it's not a paid career, it's something I enjoy doing, I like to share, and I like to put the information out there for people, and I felt, it was like I had a bit of a tantrum, to be fair. I just felt a bit kind of like, you know, I'm doing this because I, you know, want to help others, because they helped me, but actually, if you're going to start being a bit spiteful, then I'm going to have a tantrum and close my account. And so yeah, I went private for a few days. Just, I'm too addicted to do it for any length of time, and I know that I've also got followers who, they're so private about their hair loss, they don't want to commit to be seen to be following me, and they've told me that themselves, and so by making it private, they obviously then didn't have the access to dip in and out when they wanted to, and one lady in particular, actually, we're almost like pen pals now. She sent me a few emails, and really lovely emails, but she sort of said, you know, when you went private, I kind of almost panicked a bit, because I, you know, yeah, I couldn't get my fix, but it was needed. It puts things into perspective, and it allows you to take a step back, and perhaps a reminder that, you know, you're not a public service. You are a you know, just a volunteer almost. You know, it's a hobby.
Right. Yeah, and you know, I think people forget that sometimes, and also that, you know, I feel like sometimes people believe that they're the only person that is messaging you, and it's not. You probably I
get stacks of messages, and I try to keep on top of them, but it's one of those where I'll go through phases. I'll do like a cluster, and then I kind of give it a rest for a while, and then it's a cluster, because some of them, if they're asking for advice, I really want to mull it over so that I'm giving something useful, rather than a kind of pre-typed message of, you know, you can find us here, because everybody's isn't it all individual, isn't it?
Yeah.
And what they're asking, and so it is. I try and be a bit more thoughtful about it. But yeah, so sometimes I'm just quite slack and delayed, but it's not personal on any level to anyone. It's just kids and work and house, and you know.
Yeah, no, totally. So what has been the most rewarding thing for you, like personally?
I with regards to the whole
to the Instagram, yeah.
It's just, I've made some, I could, for having virtual friends, it's a really weird thing, but just it's been so wonderful. It just really has been so wonderful, and just meeting these people and connecting, and bonding over really silly things. I mean, it's just been the best. It really has. And there are some really, really awesome people on there, just some really great accounts, and obviously the people behind the accounts. And so that's just been the best thing. I always say it to people, I always kind of encourage. I had a lady message me the other day asking for advice and, you know, people to talk to, and I just sort of said, sounds really weird, suggesting trying Instagram. I said, but the community is just so welcoming, and you just start meeting other people, and it's just the visual reminders. You're seeing people daily that look like you, that, you know, have the same issues that you're suffering with, or they have hair that you think that you might like to try. It's just, you know, it's just a great lookbook of people that you can just really connect with, and I think that's just brilliant.
Absolutely. And it's your daily support, your daily inspiration. You know, if you're feeling down, you can rely on your community to support you.
Yeah.
If you have questions, if you need feedback, if, you know, there's so much support that I feel that I didn't have, right? Like 18 years ago, there wasn't such a thing. And I'm just so grateful, honestly. But on that note, I wanted to ask you, what are you going to do about your daughters? Like, are you going to let them be on social media like that? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I'm like mega strict mum with the social media. It's just me being really protective. But my eldest is moving into, we have, like, I don't know, we don't call it high school. Oh, I think my wig's coming off. We don't call it high school. We call it like secondary. She is desperate for Instagram, and I'm quite like, oh, I don't think you should have it yet. Like, oh, and so we will let her.
What's gonna happen when they found out that mom has 15,000 followers?
And I'll be on it, and she'll look over my shoulder and she'll be like, oh, mum, what are you doing? And I'm like, yes, yeah, you know. She I think we'll just, because of knowing the different types of people that you come across in that environment, I think it's just, as long as we educate them on the safety do's and don'ts side of things, then I'll feel better about it. Because it's like, yeah, I'm from the generation years ago that, like, if you were to say to your parents, oh, I'm meeting someone I met on the internet, then they immediately think you're going to get murdered. It's that sort of generation. Whereas doing that, and obviously some of my followers who I've become really good friends with and we have met, and then it's like I still feel weird saying now that I've met my friend from the internet, you know, but obviously it's more acceptable for her generation going forward. So yeah, we just we'll just keep an eye on it. But yeah, she'll wear me down at some point. She'll definitely be all over it.
Yeah, it's so interesting, and it's so interesting how you feel really close to these people, because it happens to me all the time. Like, there are people that I talk to, I mean, I don't want to say every day, but at least once a week, right? That I've never seen in my life.
Yeah.
And we've been talking for probably a couple of years now.
Yeah, and you feel like they're part of your life as well. You're like, my friend, you know. And it's like,
my friend in the UK. Yeah, that one.
I'm taking this off because my bun is like weighing me down at the moment, and I keep fiddling. So sorry, you're getting the board edition now.
Yes, I love it. I love. Okay, well, is there any piece of advice that you want to give to people that are just starting in the journey, don't know if they want to wear hair or not? Like, what would be your advice as far as, moving forward with the hair?
I think that saying do what's best for you is really vague, but at the same time, it is a case of, if you want to wear hair, that's totally cool. Because for me, I felt a lot of shame around wig wearing. Like, I associated it with kind of like grannies or old people or ill people. And actually, wig wearing is really awesome, and I really love it. And so, yeah, it is one of those where I would say, if you feel like going to that avenue, then, take your time, get involved, see what you might like. don't be afraid to try new things. If you always wanted long dark hair, then just buy the long dark hair. Why not? Wear it with confidence, and then no one's going to question you. It just becomes part of who you are. But then equally, if hair isn't the route you want to take, then actually being bald or wearing headscarves is totally fine too. It really is like I think you just have to do it with purpose. And for me as well, I wanted to be really open, so I was very open from the start as to what had happened. And I just felt that then people couldn't question or talk about you, or there was nothing, there was no more kind of things to say about it. It was what it was. And so yeah, do it with purpose, and just anything goes, really.
Anything goes, and like you said, make it you, right? Like,
yes.
I think that the key to me also is to integrate it to your lifestyle, because the more we resist it, the more we keep it secret, the more you feel like it's that thing that is not part of you. And the thing is, it is you. So like the moment you integrate it with your life and you start, I know embracing is like a very strong word if you're at a place where you're like, why me, right? So, but what I'm saying is like, try to integrate it, like make friends with it, right? Like that's how I describe it right now. Like I make friends with this. I realize that it's not going to go away. So let's be friends and let's figure it out to make it work, right?
Yeah. And to the point where now I'm kind of like, my hair is the last thing, so my outfit will go with my hair. So my hair is like, today's dress will go with this style, and it is totally like, I actually will go as far as to say I love the fact that I can do that. I really do. So yeah, it does get easier, even if it feels like it doesn't. It just becomes more normal, perhaps is the right way to say.
Totally. And also what you said about like being open with other people, I think when we are open with other people, we allow them to be open with us. So for us is the hair, for other people it can be all kinds of stuff. So the moment we start sharing, people feel comfortable sharing with us, so that also you can use it as a moment of connection with other people, right? It doesn't have to be traumatic all the time. Like we use it to get closer to others and like, just deepen your relationships, I think.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
Well, Joe, it's been a pleasure again. I'm so happy that you made it. And yeah, I'm always just having a great time talking to you. So thank you so much. I hope
thank you.
This again. And
thank you.
I'll see you all on the next video.